an echinacea plant. This is what it looks like during the winter. It's believed, my father would say, the snow will never get higher than the tops of these plants. When the plants are short, that means you're not going to get very much snow. If they're tall, that means you're going to get a lot of snow. This is how the Indians would foretell the coming winters. This was toothache medicine to the Indian children. It was a medicine that you chewed to mix with different medicines to stop the pain. It has a substance like Novocaine. So when a child would get a toothache, they would, when it come daylight, they would go out with an axe or some sharp implement and identify the plant and take an axe and chop on the side of it. You only need a little piece. We'll try this piece right here. This is all you need for toothache or to doctor somebody. This has Novocaine. This is all you need. And how you use it is if a child is crying, a baby that is teething, the mother would chew this. She would chew it until her mouth started to tingle. That's when it's ready to be placed upon the child. You could mix it with medicines, but you chewed this up, and then you put it in a child's cavity, or you rubbed it on the gums of a child. Or you mixed it with maybe mushrooms, dried mushrooms, and you put it on impetigo and sores of people, and it took away the pain. We do not grow this in a greenhouse because it grows freely on the lands here. We always pick it. We can't, if you store it, you dry it, it doesn't work. You have to dig it from the ground immediately, and that's how you use it. It has a beautiful flower in the summertime, and you can put it on bee stings, spider bites, and different things, and it deadens the pain, even burns and injuries that are very painful. This is the root that you use to deaden the pain. That is your echinacea, or we call it black medicine. It's when children have toothaches into the night and cry, they would go into the hills the next day and search for the root of this plant. They could always see it above the snow. It always grows above the snow. The snow will never get taller than the head of this plant. That way you could always find it. You move the snow and used an instrument and you dug it on each side with an axe or a knife, and you took just a little piece of the root and you chewed it. It had a Novocaine type medicine in it. It numbed your mouth, your cavity, or if a child was teething and cried into the night, you could get this root and chew it and then rub it on the gums of the child. This deadens it for about 45 minutes. This is your black medicine. You can take the seeds and you can plant it. But we don't do that because they grow abundantly all over. Mochtafese jetzt. Mochtafese jetzt. Mochtafese jetzt.
Okay. When we talk of the blackroot, the part that we haven't discussed yet is that we mix blackroot with other plants, and one of the best ones was the little mushroom. This mushroom has a great story. Besides being able to get it wet either with your saliva or water and to chew up the root and mix them together to doctor children with impetigo or any kind of sore that topical sore that's on the skin, that's like a burn, it deadens it. But the little mushroom takes us way back to a time when we became friends with the wolves. This was the time that our people were living in ice caves, and 20 warriors could ride on the back of a mammal that had horns that came from its mouth. 20 warriors could ride on its back. They would gentle them from time to time, but they were one of the big beasts that they would that a whole tribe would shoot or would kill some way with rocks or spears. And they would, when they butchered them, they would divide the meat equally, and they would have a big feast and dancing and singing. But there was one particular band that chose not to be a part of the dancing because of the evil things that were going on there. They would take their portion of the meat and go back to their own little camp, and everybody made fun of them. They treated them bad. They made fun of them. They would push them. They would throw rocks at them. They still were part of the tribe, but they were ridiculed all the time. They were skinny people that were real quiet. They didn't say very much, and they would go back to their village, and they kept to themselves while the rest of the tribe was out partying and having feasts, and for days they would have these feasts, the dancing and singing. But this little band, the Creator selected this little band because of their generous and kind nature. And he sent down a message to them that something bad was coming, and it was going to last a long time. And he told them to save as much food as they could, and to bury it and hide it so nobody could get it from them. Because it was going to last a long time, they needed to store a lot of food. So every time they would kill some kind of a beast, they would take their portion back to their village and they would cut it up and dry it. Eventually, they had so much they were burying it underground to hide it. After years, the Creator sent another messenger. When he came down, he showed them of a mountain that they needed to climb. He said, take your clan and all your food and go to this mountain. He showed them in a vision of this great mountain. So they got their clan together and they all walked to the foot of this mountain. At that time, the glaciers started to melt. It started to rain and water started to raise. So they would, as they climbed up the mountain, the water continued to raise. They would go back and get more food, but they stayed just ahead of the water as it raised. When they got to the top of the mountain, the water almost reached them, then it stopped. Everybody else was drowned. They stayed on that mountain and for a long period of time, but during this time, they realized they weren't alone. They were trapped with a party of wolves. So they started feeding the wolves and they became friends with them. They became pets of our people. The wolves were the ones that taught us a lot about body language. The wolves use body language. When you're a Cheyenne, you can't point with your hands. You point with your lips. Well, that's the way a wolf points. We learned this from the wolves. As the water started to recede, these wolves would lick children that had impetigo, and they would lick the wounds of the sores of the old ones that had sores on their feet and legs. The wolves would heal them with their saliva by licking them. As the water started to recede, these great white mushrooms came out of the ground. They're called powder puff mushrooms. And you can eat them when they're white inside. But once they start to turn brown, they turn into a medicine. And this is the medicine that we use to mix with our blackroot. My father said this little mushroom has the same healing properties as the saliva of a wolf. This is the mushroom that the Cheyennes use today to put on their wounds, to put on their sores. Other tribes use it to put on their piercing wounds on their chest when they do their ceremonies. But we mix this with the blackroot after we get it wet and chew it. We place it upon people. After the water receded, they came on down and everybody was drowned. And they started to, they journeyed towards Ontario, the place that is Ontario today. They journeyed that way. And the unique thing was that a lot of people will say, this is just a legend, there's no truth to it. But during my life, I have been tracing the journey of the Indian people. Where did we come from? Some tribes say they came out of Devil's Lake. Some say they came out of a wind tunnel, wind cave. Well, I couldn't buy that. I knew that we had to come from somewhere. So I've been tracing the migration route of the Cheyenne people. So I spent 9 months in Alaska, 90 miles from Barrow in a place called Wainwright. I went there to try to find out if our people came across the ice into Russia or whether they came through the land bridge into China. During that time, I befriended many elders of the Inupiaq tribe, and they listened to my stories, and they said, we know where this mountain is. It is called the Brooks Range, and it's near the Colville River. And he said, that mountain is called the Mountain of the Mourners, because the people that survived the Great Flood mourned for the rest of their lives for the people that were all drowned. So our people continued into Ontario with the wolves carrying the burden and the children on little travoises. They became the friends of our people. They would warn our people. They would carry all the burden. They would still clean the wounds of our children and our elders. They taught us how to sneak up on animals. They taught the Cheyennes many things. We were always grateful for the wolves, and this was the time that we became friends with the wolves. My father says that whenever you have a child that is named after a wolf, he needs to be told of the story when we became friends with the wolves. My father's Indian name was Wolf Feathers, Hutneo Wutanes. My name is Young Wolf. And it's, so whenever a child has that name, has the name of the wolf, you always tell them the story of the Great Flood and when we became friends with the wolves. So that's how important this plant is to us. It not only can be used for wounds, but it has a story of the wolf and how important it is to us, because it has the same healing properties as the saliva of a wolf. That's why we use it with blackroot and other plants, healing plants.